How'd you sleep? I slept okay. I didn't sleep in. The whole point of changing the time from 6 to 7 a.m. was to sleep in an extra hour to get a little bit more sleep. So I'm gonna have to train myself to do that. Can you imagine being in high school and training yourself to have to sleep later? But anyway, it's a new beginning, and it's a new beginning because it feels like it just feels like it's time to kind of take a bigger view of things and kind of think bigger as opposed to just being like focused on just what's going on right now. It just feels bigger. So the way I'm going to participate with what's going on right now is I've established kind of a framework for at the very least an art of peace practice, but in a larger sense a 2-year plan. So I'm looking at the next 2 years is what it's going to take for all this COVID-19 stuff to shake out, and I want to bring you guys with me. I want you to come with me over these next, at the very beginning, over the next I think it's 23 weeks, where we're going to do an art of peace practice, and then further on as we go into 2021 and then 2022. So I'm thinking about the next 2 years, big picture, big plans, and I encourage you to come along with me and think about it too. So the way we're going to do it is we're going to start with this next 23 weeks as an art of peace practice. And an art of peace practice follows the same pattern that it's always followed. I've done this. This will be my 3rd time doing it, where we just take a stanza a day and kind of work through it every day for 114 days. And so I'm going to do it every weekday for the next 114 days. And so taking off Saturday and Sunday, that means that if we do 114 stanzas, 1 stanza every weekday, we'll finish up right around New Year's. And I think that's appropriate because I think we're heading into what's supposed to be when everything kind of starts back up again and kind of gets into the swing of things, football season. It's really what I'm thinking about the most, school, all that other kind of stuff. But all that's so uncertain. It's so uncertain and so like triggering. There's just so much going on there. So let's go above it. Let's go bigger than that. And the way we can do that is by studying the art of peace. And so the way it's going to work is every day I'm going to introduce a stanza. I'll read it. Okay, then we'll practice, and then we'll discuss it. So I'll read the stanza, we'll do our mindfulness practice, and then we'll discuss the stanza. So this is this first week's stanza, and then I'm going to go back onto the cushion, and we'll sit down and we'll go through the training. All right, so the art of peace begins with you. Work on yourself and your appointed task in the art of peace. Everyone has a spirit that can be refined, a body that can be trained in some manner, a suitable path to follow. You are here for no other purpose than to realize your inner divinity and manifest your innate enlightenment. Foster peace in your own life and then apply the art to all that you encounter. All right, so now you get to see a little bit where all the magic happens. I'm just very cliche. I'm teaching out of my garage, right? Just classic. Okay, see, this is that's my little studio area. Alright. Okay. So, get yourself settled. can't find my... Oh, there it is. Get ahead of that thing for the bell. All right. All right, so once you got your seat, sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. What do you see? Once you're comfortable with your eyes, close them if you feel safe. What do you hear? What do you feel? Temperature-wise, can you feel your skin? Feel temperature on the skin? Taste? Smell? Get to the body. Where do you feel the pull of gravity underneath you? So that's your ground, right? So what are you touching beneath you? What is touching? So I'm crisscross applesauce, so my feet are crossed under me. The outside edges of my feet are touching the ground. My rear end is touching the ground. Then move to the pelvis. The pelvis is where you start to react to gravity's pull on you through your spine. So your pelvis sets the base of your spine, so send your awareness to your pelvis. Now, what can you feel around your core, around your belly button? What can you feel around your heart? What can you feel around your throat? What can you feel around your head? Now bring your full attention to your breathing. Breathe in as fully as you can. And let it out really slow. Do that 5 times. Breathe in as deep as you can. Let it out really slow. Breathe in as deep as you can. Let it out really slow. Two more on your own. Sit for a minute. So developing an intention for today in the context of the art of peace. So let's go over it. Let's go over the title, right? Fighting COVID-19 with the art of peace, and see what might be useful for you to think about in terms of setting an intention. Um, it's so I'll read it and then I'll kind of talk you through it. Okay. The art of peace begins with you. Work on yourself and your appointed task at the art of peace. Everyone has a spirit that can be refined, a body that can be trained in some manner, a suitable path to follow. You are here for no other purpose than to realize your inner divinity and manifest your innate enlightenment. Foster peace in your own life and then apply the art to all that you encounter. So I've been working on this for a long time, and these practices or these stanzas are kind of religious but not religious language. So innate divinity, inner divinity and innate enlightenment. Basically what he's saying is that there is something special inside of you. There's always been something special inside of you. It's divine. It's special. It's everything that everyone else has. And the difference is that there are layers in between your innate divinity that are kind of disrupting your capacity to be the best version of yourself. And so the best way I can understand how the art of peace has worked in my life is that every time I've gone through the practice, I've kind of worked through some of those layers that are just kind of in the way of me understanding and interacting with the best version of myself. And every time I've gone through the 114 stanzas, I've kind of broken through a layer and I've come out on the other side in a way that is more aware, less triggered by things, less connected to the things that used to kind of define me, and then more connected to the kind of the powers that I have that are inside of me. And so that's the first stanza. And let me just say why I'm bringing this up and why I'm doing it now. The reason I'm doing it now is because we kind of gave our best shot over the kind of early parts of the year at beating COVID, right? We gave our best shot, and what that included was some lockdown, but what it also included was a bunch of hubris, and hubris is overconfidence, and that hubris, that sense that we'll just get back to normal, or we got this, or blah 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 blah, is kind of built into our culture at the moment. Just kind of work harder, be tougher, et cetera, et cetera. But here we are, kind of at the beginning of a new kind of onslaught of COVID-19. It's going up all over the place. Only a couple states are doing okay with it. The rest are just really just struggling. And the challenges that we face are only going to grow as things move into the winter. So we are in a really tough spot. And the thing about COVID is that you can't kick its ass. Like, you can't find it and beat the shit out of it. You can't shoot it. You can't apply all the kind of best tools that we have for defeating an enemy. But mind you, it's an enemy. It will use every single body that it can find. COVID-19 will use to perpetuate itself. So don't get it wrong. It is an enemy, and we have to defeat it. But how we're going to defeat it is going to be different than how we've attempted to defeat enemies in the past. And we've attempted all kinds of different ways to beat enemies like this. This COVID-19 is like an insurgency. It gets in and then it kind of seeps around and stuff like that. And the only way to kind of stop it is to stop giving it fuel. And it's very much like an insurgency in that, if you're the counterinsurgent, right? Your job is to not give the insurgents fuel for the civilian population to support the insurgency. So a counterinsurgency is where you win the hearts and minds of the people that you're engaged with so that they don't keep supporting the insurgency. And the way you got to do that is, aid and support and understanding and a million little interactions that are, built off of kind of a sense of reciprocity and trust. And then what happens is over time that starts to win out ideally and things get better. We've kind of done that in our past war. And, we always say, you always fight the last war. So we kind of did that in the past, and we kind of did it okay. I don't know. But again, on a personal level, when it has come to the outcomes of these wars and their impacts on us, what has really hurt us and what we still haven't got a good grasp on is PTSD. So, PTSD for the individual is what kind of an insurgency is for a nation. So with PTSD, what the insurgency is it's a surge of feeling that comes out in times that you're not prepared for or that are unfamiliar. And as those feelings surge, you either learn effective ways to manage them or you develop really ineffective ways to manage them. And these maladaptive strategies become ingrained as your habits and parts of your life. And it just gets harder and harder to kind of unpack those things. And not only that, you've also got barriers now that you've developed to protect yourself. But those barriers are actually limiting your capacity to live life in a way that's really meaningful and fulfilling. And if you don't have a life that's meaningful and fulfilling, that you find interactive and supportive, then life just gets really, really hard. And we're not in good shape. We're not in good shape. Our systems, our structures, our society is not in good shape. We really aren't. And I have no idea what fixes it. Not a clue. But, and this is what matters, okay? You as an individual, me as an individual, have a tremendous ability to adapt and navigate these challenging times in ways that are far more impactful and special than we could ever know. So I just encourage you to think about, what the next 2 years of your life might look like, and come with me on this Art of Peace practice as I go through the stanzas. Go through them with me. Ask me questions about them. They're kind of, the language is a little bit weird. The kind of way to think about stuff is weird. It's like it's intentionally vague and hard to understand sometimes. And I'll tell you that's good, right? There's not a clear cut do this, right? That's not how it works. I can't explain how it works. All I know is the last 2 Art of Peace practices I've done have resulted in changes to my life that continue to be meaningful and fulfilling. And I found those places inside of myself, right? Inside of my life. I found them by going inside of myself. And the last thing I'll read you is the kind of like the translation that I've made to help understand kind of the first stanza. So here's a translation, and then I'll end it. So look, others can help you, but only you can train your internal environment. The light inside you is yours alone, and no one can be aware of it like you can. As long as you are alive, you matter. What you say, what you think, and what you do matters. So join me as I go on this Art of Peace practice for the next 23 weeks. We'll go over a stanza every day, every weekday. I will take the weekends off. And let's talk about it. Let's talk about it online. Let's talk about this stuff because it's a little bit tricky. It's a little bit weird. And when we're applying mindfulness to it, I imagine that like you or like me, you will experience things that, sometimes make a lot of sense. You're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. But other times like, no, doesn't make any sense at all. And that's totally fine. It's the active engagement that matters. So join me in this Art of Peace practice for the next 23 weeks. This is the beginning of the next 2 years. Armor Down is thinking about the next 2 years as the kind of the span of time where we can kind of get through whatever's coming, even bigger than what has already come, and then start to get more on a stable plane. I think we've got a long way to go. We're right at the beginning of it, but we're not alone. You're not alone. And Armor Down is here for you. Me, Ben King, I'm here for you. And so, yeah, let's do this. Later, Armor Down. See you tomorrow.